All right, guys, I'm going to set the record straight and go over some really basic points of this whole 3D printing gun thing. All right, the left is out there right now with their hair on fire, and they cannot seem to put it out. They know the truth. They do know the truth. I know I've put videos out before where I've said either the left is lying or they're just stupid. And I don't apologize for calling them stupid for those of you out there that think that that's too harsh of a word. If somebody is going to preach and they're getting paid by taxpayer dollars to stand firm on one position or the other, I expect them to know what they're talking about. And if they choose to be ignorant, I consider them stupid. So that term will stick. But there's a lot of bad information, and it's just flat out lies going on right now, where the left is saying that now miraculously you're seeing Blumenthal and some of these other clowns out there saying that we're going to be able to print guns like this. The entire gun is going to be all plastic and undetectable using a 3D printer. Okay, guys, a few things. First of all, have you seen the gun that can be completely built using a 3D printer? It looks like a box of crayons with a handle on it. I think it holds one, maybe two bullets. It's only good for one or two shots because the parts, being plastic, wear out. Parts in a gun are not plastic for a reason. Do you realize how cheap it would be to make completely plastic guns if they actually worked? Nobody makes them because they don't work with all plastic pieces. Not because it's mandated. The government simply mandates that there be metal, a piece of metal in the gun to where it can be detected, and there's a piece of metal where the serial number has to be. That's all that the government mandates whenever a gun is being manufactured. Can you imagine how cheap it would be if all guns could be made with all plastic parts, right? None of this metal stuff. Nobody would have to use that. They don't because it doesn't work. The guns are not they don't function like that. The triggers, the bolt carrier groups, the bolts, the barrels, you name it. We can just go on and on. Plastic cannot handle the torture that a mini explosion that takes place in a gun every single time it's fired. Plastic cannot handle that. It cannot handle those types of mini explosions routinely and time after time after time after time. So it is not possible. It really is. You could make this gun completely out of plastic, but it would be completely useless. It probably wouldn't fire the first shot. Probably wouldn't fire the first. So it's an outright lie. It is an outright lie. It is not a mistruth. It is an outright lie that an AR-15 can be made with a 3D printer. That is an outright lie. And I'm sorry for repeating myself, but I want you guys to know they are not misspeaking. They are purposely lying to you. They know better. They know better. So this is an outright lie, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these guys getting away with this. Why is it that the left is always caught lying about guns? Always. And we give them the benefit of the doubt that, oh, they just misspoke. They don't know about guns, so they're saying the wrong things. No, these people are lying about that. You notice how the right never has to retract or apologize for something being said in error about guns? You notice that? We never have to say, we misspoke. Or, oh, I'm sorry, well, we didn't realize that this was the truth, so we went with that. But the left, not only are they always wrong, and they're always misspeaking, but they never retract what they have to say or what they said. That was a lie. And they never retract what they said that was incorrect. They never do. You know why? Because, and I'm going to say this, and some of you out there might want to click off the video because it may hurt your feelings. There are some mindless dummies out there that follow these Democrats. Mindless fools that are weak-minded and cannot think for themselves. And these Democratic leaders know that these people are stupid. They know that these people are going to hang on every single word of those politicians. So if they say it and they get it embedded in their mind, at least the first time around when they know it is a lie, then they know that that argument about correcting that lie takes place on our side, right? They know that our websites are the ones disseminating all that information and spreading it, saying, look how stupid these people are. But you don't find that on these liberal sites. You don't find that on these anti-gun sites. You don't ever find anybody on there that's not eventually kicked off, because some pro-gun people try to go on these Facebook sites and they get booted out of there trying to correct these lies. But you don't ever find those people out there and just openly saying, hey guys, we need to be better about this. You know, I'm talking about a liberal. We need to be better about this. We need to be truthful whenever we're saying these things. We shouldn't be saying these lies or these mistruths, or we should educate ourselves before we start talking about guns so that people will listen to us. They don't ever talk like that. I actually get pro-gun people talking to me that will tell me that I'm too harsh the way I talk about the anti-gun left, that I need to be more nice, that I need to be nicer in my delivery about how I talk to them. Because if I want them to be serious about me and to listen to me, which they're not listening, but if I want them to be serious and listen to me, and if I want to truly have a conversation, then I need to welcome them into the conversation and make them feel welcome. Let me explain something to you. I don't welcome them into the conversation because they don't want to be a part of the conversation. They are purposely deceitful, and I don't need more deceitful people in my life. I don't need any more of that. I don't need any deceitful people around me whatsoever. So I don't want them in my circle. So I'm not trying to get new friends. I'm not trying to get a long list of people that I can send Christmas cards to or get mugs with their names on them. I'm not looking for new friends, because the anti-gun left does not want to listen to us. They do not think we have an argument in this argument or this conversation. They truly believe that their way is the only way, and they are intent on, and they are convinced that lying to the weak-minded people out there is going to get their way. Now, let's talk real quick about the ghost guns. Ooh, the ghost guns. Okay, the thing that can be printed online, and the only thing that's going to be printed is, you see this, not this piece from here back, all right? This is the lower receiver from here forward. Not this piece again. Let's ignore that I did not take this piece off right here. But this piece of the gun is the lower receiver. This one happens to be made out of aluminum, okay? What can happen is you can use a 3D printer to make the lower. Now, the thing is, this little catch right here, they make that out of metal. They don't make a plastic one, not a plastic one that works. You hear that going back and forth? There's springs in there. They don't make good plastic springs, right? Plastic's not really a good thing to use when you're trying to put a spring together. Triggers. Triggers also have a pretty high tension spring in it. It's also got a hammer that falls forward. All these things are made out of metal. They do not make plastic ones. They do not make plastic ones that work. So I'm saying that as a disclaimer. Anybody out there go, oh, they do make a plastic one. They don't make them that work, all right? That's this piece of the gun. That's this piece right here. What about all of this? What about the barrel? Any of this stuff? How about the bolt? How about the bolt carrier group? All this stuff has to be made out of metal. It cannot handle the force of this mini explosion happening over and over and over again. Meaning that even if this piece were 100% undetectable, you can't do anything with that without having all this metal, additional metal, piled on top of it. Not to mention the buffer spring and the buffer tube and the buffer inside of here, all metal. They cannot function as plastic. The buffer tube could, but not the buffer and not the buffer spring. They can't function as plastic. You have to have metal to make this. This gun in one of these formats over here will never in our lifetime be undetectable. It's not going to happen. So it is an outright lie that they are telling you that AR-15s will be able to be manufactured through the 3D printing process and they will not be detectable. Do you guys remember, those of you guys that are gun guys and around my age, do you remember back in the 90s, I guess it was 80s maybe, 90s, whenever Glock was coming out? You would know, I don't have a Glock. Actually, I do have a Glock. I have a Glock right here. Remember when Glocks were coming out? This whole argument about being undetectable came out then. Now, there weren't 3D printers, so we weren't having that argument about 3D printers. But the whole argument about now Glocks are going to go through TSA and nobody's going to be able to find a Glock. The frame is polymer. The frame. You have one or two other pieces of the gun, the sights. There's not much polymer in this thing. Now you try to go through TSA with this and you tell me how far you get. You're not going to get very far. We heard this same old tired argument decades ago. Now we're right back at it again just because we want to demonize this. Why in the world is an AR-15 brought into this process whenever only the lower could possibly be used? And look, let me explain something real quick, guys. This lower is still not going to last. All these pins right here that hold everything from the hammer to everything else involved with the gun, they are going to break. There are stress points all over in this receiver. That plastic receiver is not going to hold up. So good luck with your 3D printed lower receiver. It's not worth the plastic it's printed with. So again, the left, they don't hear us, guys. They don't hear us. So again, those of you that are saying that I'm being too harsh out here, I'm gonna live with my harshness. I'm gonna carry that. That's gonna be my cross to bear because I'm not lightening up. I'm tired of the left of getting away with their lies and they never have to retract or explain anything. I'm tired of that. The right and the pro-gun movement never puts out bad information. Oh, go check it. Go look and see. We don't put out bad information. We don't ever have to go back on what we've said because it was incorrect. And we certainly don't blatantly lie about things. We break down the left's numbers, the anti-gun guys, we take their numbers and we prove them wrong. We prove how much of a myth their whole argument is. So this whole 3D printing is a bunch of BS. Gunsmithing has been legal in the United States forever. The fact that suddenly there's going to be this huge amount of 3D printed guns, how many terrorists are going to bother printing out a gun when they can go buy one? Let's be real about this, guys. Why would you go through the trouble of downloading the software, of buying a 3D printer, just to make a gun that could hold 2 bullets, that you only get 1 shot? Mass shootings, just by sheer physics alone, will not take place with 3D printed guns. Let's think about this. That's what they're hanging on. They're trying to get you to be sad about shootings out there, about mass shootings. So they're exploiting all the previous mass shootings that had nothing to do with 3D printed guns, but they're using that to try to get your emotion triggered. Okay, if I'm a mass shooter, number one, I'm not going to go through the trouble of a 3D printing when I can go buy an AR-15, right? Most of these guys who have had taken place in mass killings, these guys had clean enough records to where most of them could purchase these guns legally anyway. So why would I go through the trouble? And then if I want to mass murder people, why would I ever choose a 3D printed gun that's going to break and fail on me after only a couple of shots? Why would I do that? Isn't my intent to kill as many people as possible? It's a very stupid argument. It is simply another way for the left to get excited. And believe me, they could really care less about 3D printed guns. They really could care less. They understand that these things are harmless. They're simply taking this as another step into infringing upon your Second Amendment rights, because the more that they can get the general public to accept these small little bites, these little paper cuts of violating our Second Amendment rights, then overall in the long run, because this is a marathon of them, in the long run, they slowly get you to accept more and more and more of you giving up some of your Second Amendment rights, where eventually a big item is going to come along and more people will be accepting of it.